studying several of my texts on the ancient architecture. One of my favorite subjects, of course, is sacred geometry and the symbolisms of Freemasonry. And in the course of studying the symbolisms and the ideas involved with the point within the circle, the cube, the rough ashlar, the perfected ashlar, Freemasonry takes a lot of its symbols from nature itself as proper, because the geometry of nature translates into the workings of mankind, including using some of the working tools of Freemasonry to perfect ourselves, to better ourselves, to improve ourselves, to improve people so that we can all end up in that celestial lodge, that house not made by hands, eternal in the heavens, as we symbolize things. There is a better way to live, and this is the message. And this can be reinforced with the various symbolisms. And I find this point within the circle that reminds me so much of the ancient sacred architecture that I want to show you some ideas. And keep your eyes open in your everyday life. It'll astound you what you can see as far as that goes. For instance, in this astonishing sacred geometric diagram of the rings of Stonehenge, the concentric rings of Stonehenge match beautifully the dimensions as at Glastonbury, and from a description of the New Jerusalem in the book of Revelation, we have the heavenly Jerusalem depicted in sacred geometric aspects also, all interlaced. The cathedral at Glastonbury, Stonehenge, you can see the point of the circle, the concentric circles, and the ideas of the mounds around. It's an astonishing depiction. We're taught in Freemasonry that the point in the circle represents the individual, which is very properly correct. But it also represents an alignment to the cosmos. This is the exact idea of the point within the circle. The three dragon axes: A, the galactic meridian from center to edges; B, the moving axis of the precession of the equinoxes and solstices; and the axis C, the unmoving ecliptic polar axis in Draco. You can see how all the cosmological directions meet in a point within the circle. And here we have the very famous eight-pointed hub of the wheel of Samsara. The point within the circle extends out into the cosmos, as we see by the alchemical signs, the four elements. You'll notice this same wheel, this same hub, is on the depiction of the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot keys, in the major arcana. The symbolism here is exquisitely powerful. The four creatures, of course, are from Ezekiel's vision, so that we have a square, and there's the point within the circle, and then it extends out into the cosmos in all directions. Torah, tarot, rota is the Wheel of Fortune. Even the tarot cards depict the magnificent symbols in Freemasonry, as well as alchemy and Rosicrucianism. They are hermetic principles, as Paul Foster Case has so powerfully shown, and Albert Pike in his book Esoterica describes a little bit. Not the tarot cards themselves, but some of the symbols. One of the absolute astonishing things about the basic layout and plan of Stonehenge is the dimensions of Stonehenge are the same dimensions as those of the heavenly city described in the New Testament book of Revelation. The scale is 1 to 100. But it's the same sacred geometry layout, beginning with the point in the circle, which is surrounded by a square, the cube of space. Here we have a depiction of the point in the circle depicting Christ Apollo at the center of the zodiac. These outer circles represent the 4 seasons. So we have the circle and the square. Christ in the zodiac. This is in Italy from the 11th century. The point within the circle. We are represented by the divine inner life in our souls. Here we have a fantastic diagram of Robert Flood. Notice the heart is the point in the center of the circle. This diagram is so fascinating. We see a hand coming from the sky, grasping another hand by the wrist. This is so interesting because the fundamental life functions of the organism are set in motion by an astral soul volatile. I can't read it. The blood transports through the body. The life-giving divine spirit reaches man from the sun through the 4 winds. Notice the 4 winds are blowing life into the heart of man, who is the point within the circle. And that's how Ezekiel depicted it. Come, O wind, come from every quarter, and breathe into these slain, that they may come to life. That's Ezekiel 37:9. The bringing to life of the dead bones in Ezekiel. According to Flood, the heart is the sun of the microcosm, the source of life. Aren't we taught that if you don't put Freemasonry in your heart, if it doesn't begin in your heart, then you don't have real Freemasonry? You can be a Mason in name only and seek for the degrees and do the charity work and all that, but if it doesn't begin in your heart, you're not alive as to Freemasonry. Point in the circle. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye, isn't there? Here are 2 more diagrams by Henry Cornelius Agrippa. In this one with the circle, if the arms raised thus, the feet and the legs are spaced so far apart that the figure is shortened by 1/14 of his upright posture, then the distance between his feet and from the lower part of the pubic bone forms an equilateral triangle. Fascinating. And if one places the center point in the navel, the periphery of a circle will touch the tips of the fingers and the toes. So we have circle, triangle, and square involved with the human body. Whereas in this depiction, here, he says, if both feet are spread to the left and the right, with the calves facing inward, and the hands are raised upward along the same line, the tips of the fingers and the toes form a perfect square, the centers of which is above the navel. So not only do we have a point within a circle, we have a point within a square, and triangles everywhere. Isn't that fascinating? With the compasses, of course, the point within the circle, powerful Masonic symbolisms. The idea is that the knowledge of God has 2 kinds. One natural, from the light of nature, which does not yet bring rebirth or bliss. The other is supernatural knowledge, from the light of faith or mercy, and mercy. The oneness of God is expressed in the visible elementary world by the polarity of rest, the leg of the compass that is at the point, and movement, the leg of the compass which draws the circle. And the fixed and the drawing legs of the compass depict this. The 2 are linked by the bond of love and justice. I find this in Leonore Leet's book, The Universal Kabbalah. Sound, a certain vibration of sound caused the smoke to take this form. The point within a circle, which has the hexagram of the downward pointing triangle and the hexagram of the upward pointing triangle, with the hexagon and circles within circles within circles, produced by vibration and sound. It's in nature, the point within the circle,